Hi guys, this is MG of MBTI Time, and I'm gonna be starting a new series on essentially trying to give some tips on the common issues that we face as INFPs, and I'm probably gonna be doing this with other types. I think the reason why I want to do this is being an INFP myself. I want to be able to encourage the many INFPs who struggle or are struggling on the many topics that I will be discussing for the next couple of weeks. So this is gonna be hopefully less formal. So I hope that you would enjoy and learn some of the things that I will be sharing. And yeah, so now I'm gonna be talking about procrastination and motivation, or the lack thereof. Um, I think this is something that a lot of INFPs face, and well, perceivers in general. But I'm gonna primarily focus on INFPs and why we feel this or experience this. Um, I'll start off with addressing, I guess, the problem, right? So many of us are likely somewhat predisposed to not being as motivated as we want ourselves to be, which then leads us to procrastinating on the many important things in life, and even just small things that we have to deal with, like the mundane tasks, such as um, cleaning our rooms, or I don't know, taking a bath or something. Um, so that's one of the things that we might potentially encounter even early on. And as we grow up, or as your functions develop, and as you acquire more skills to address these struggles or things that we're not particularly fond of doing, then that's when it leads to a breakthrough. So I want to start off also by um, sharing my experiences as an INFP whose parent was a T and auxiliary. So my dad is an ISTJ. And so early on in my childhood, me and my sibling actually um, was trained up until this point, by the way, to act a certain way. Um, he was very much the disciplinarian or authoritarian like type of parent who wanted us to wake up early, who wanted us to clean our rooms, and wanted us to make our beds, right? So he always told us that we need to learn how to manage our time, and he wanted us to be more um, less slow moving actually. Um, and I think that somewhat shaped me early on in life, and that's how our upbringing influences the way we respond to the situations that we encounter as we grow up. So I'm just gonna get to the tips after this. I wanna preface this by saying that just um, I won't tell you to do this and expect that overnight things are gonna change. You're gonna be a different type and all of that. First of all, our types don't change. Our types don't change. So even if you become more productive than your typical INFP, it doesn't actually mean that you just turn into a different type. It's just that you become more of an evolved version of yourself. And that's what I want to advocate for. Even if we are likely predisposed to act a certain way, it doesn't also mean, or it does not give us a license essentially to remain the same, especially in things that can be improved on, right? So, what are the practical steps that one could take to help lessen this habit of ours, or at least be able to kind of cope with the tendencies to procrastinate, to put off things, um, or to be highly unmotivated to do anything at all? The first one is you should start small. And what do I mean by starting small? You start off with developing small habits that accumulate over time that will be reflective of one's character. Um, an example of this is actually learning how to make your bed. I know it might be a small thing, but actually I've heard and read from books and podcasts that I've been listening to that one of the key things that one can start doing to become more productive is actually by, doing something as simple as making your bed and making up early. Waking up early is an entirely different subject because even I myself don't really um, prefer to wake up early unless, for example, there's something that I have to do. But otherwise, it's not something that I personally am still struggling with. Um, that's just one. Another habit to develop is something as simple as showing up on time. If you happen to commit and agree to seeing or meeting with somebody at a particular time, whether online, offline, for whatever, like especially with your classes or with work or meetings or anything like that, and it doesn't have to be actual clients or people at work. You can do the same by just starting off by doing this with your friends. So I've noticed that there's a spectrum of INFPs. I'm actually more in the whole, I don't really like being late, but that's something that I've only acquired probably because of how I was raised and trained by my parent. Um, but I've also met a lot of INFPs who are on the opposite end of the spectrum, who are always perpetually late. So um, the reason why this is important to practice is because this is also something we have to learn to be able to respect the other person's time that we're meeting, even if they're the type who's also late. We don't have to be like that, right? That's also a form of discipline that I wanna be able to integrate in my life, and that's something that you can do as well. Now, the second thing that you can do with dealing with procrastination or this particular habit of ours or predispositions is scheduling your procrastination. So, what do I mean by this? Um, when I mean schedule, it means developing a system on how you may be able to harness your TE. So I know that our TE is in our fourth slot, and that's something that we really struggle with. It's like grasping on straws. So even if it's um, something so small that we can apply in our day to day life, then it's gonna be beneficial to us in the long run. So for me, what I usually do with one of the systems that I've been able to integrate in my life is if I have a project that's due in 2 weeks, I try my best to ensure that I'm able to do something pertaining that project within, you know, the first week. It's like I want to be able to ensure that I have done something in the first 3 days, and the next 3 days, and the next 3 days, up until such time where it's already near the deadline. So I won't be like scrambling, sprinting to the finish line, but rather taking small steps to do the thing within a more flexible time frame. So I know that we're not gonna be like forced to like do this at like 2 a.m. 2 p.m. and finish everything by 6. We're not really those types of people, but even so, at least have some kind of system on how you can force yourself to reason with yourself that okay, I've done this. I've given myself enough time. I should be able to do something by this time. And this is something that you have to force yourself to do by reasoning yourself that it's important to do this. Because none of the things that I will be saying would make sense up until you do it. We're going against our nature here. So essentially it really is putting a lot of effort to do something that's very unnatural to us. The third tip that I can give to INFPs is create a checklist. And um, what I mean by checklist is create a checklist or a list of tasks that you wanna consistently accomplish daily. Um, Keep a journal if you have. I actually wanna share with you my journal. So it's not even a journal; it's like a to-do list. So I have here inside like my bucket list, the things I want to be able to accomplish through my lifetime, but actually more of like not my lifetime, but rather um, things I want to be able to do in maybe the next couple of months or in a year. So, and then by doing this, it helps me kind of check myself if I'm doing if I'm doing um, the thing that will help me get closer to achieving my goal. And then I also have like what I love about this particular journal of mine. It's just I'll just give you an idea. I hate my handwriting, but essentially I list down all of the stuff that I will be doing daily. So it might be as simple as um by noon I have lunch. By 1 p.m. I'm gonna attend the meeting. By this time I'm gonna design for MBTI time. By this time I have a meeting with a client for my type assessments or for counseling sessions. I put all of that here, even if it's just one thing for that day. I ensure that all of the stuff that I will be doing, like a routine, a mini routine, I put in my journal. And the way it helps me is that this habit of mine that I've been slowly developing helps me keep track of um, how productive I've been throughout the day. And by being able to recognize that, oh, I've been really productive this day, I have so much work that I was able to accomplish, that kind of helps me stay motivated to keep doing what I'm doing. So that's the third one. The fourth one is a little bit more tedious, but there's also something that I've learned to develop only now at this point in time. And remember, the stuff I'll be saying now actually is a little bit weird because I haven't been doing this for the most part of my life, and I wish I had known this when I was younger. That's why I'm sharing this information to kind of motivate you and encourage you that you can also do this because I am able to, or I've been able to, even if it's a little bit late already. But it's better to start now, even if it's quote unquote late. So number 4 would be start tracking your expenses. Research shows that when you start tracking, concrete metrics, you become more aware of what you're doing, what you have, where your money is going, and you'll be able to cut down your impulsivities. And it's not a surprise that a lot of INFPs are also somewhat impulsive. Um, and when I mean by impulsive, it's not really doing super reckless things. It's just a matter of like spending on food, spending on stuff that we don't need, spending on our hobbies. And it's spending is fine, but you also have to be able to save. That's really the most important thing. And what I mean by this is that you have to be able to save for your future. And a lot of us struggle with this concept because we don't like thinking about long-term things. Like having build how do you like save up for a new house, or how do you save up to move out from your home, or saving for a car and all of those things. But it's important because we can't escape reality. At some point in time, we'll have to face these adulting things, responsibilities we have to deal with. And tracking your expenses is going to be one of those things that will be beneficial to you or helpful to you if you start as early as now. I'm using a bunch of tools to be able to monitor my expenses. I use Money Lover, which is an app. I also do I also have like an Excel sheet for this, and yeah, so Excel sheet. I actually suck at that, but I felt like it's a lot more easier for me to be more diligent by monitoring um, where my money is going, how much I'm saving, and I think the app helps me to also track where most of my money goes, and kind of now forces me to be like, hey, like check your savings. Otherwise, you're just gonna keep on spending. And I think this is one of the many things that INFP struggle with: financial management. So, bear like I'm with you, and I'm trying my best. So I hope that you do too. So that's one of the things that's also helpful to develop better habits that will not eradicate our inclinations to procrastination, but rather lessen that habit of ours. Um, so again, we're not gonna be able to just like quickly change into an entirely different type or like remove this habit of ours. But the goal here is to become a better INFP and not just accept that this is who we are. Okay? At the end of the day, we need to survive, and that's part of surviving and thriving. And last but not the least, it's removing the attitude of not wanting to try because you assume and think that you will fail, or that it will require so much work, therefore I'm not just gonna do it. Okay? So, my final encouragement, or I guess action point, is just do it. Just do the work. Whatever project you've abandoned, whatever project that you think will not work, whatever job you haven't applied for, whatever article or poem, blog you haven't started, you haven't been consistent with, get back to those things and finish them. And I'm not even just talking about finishing them, it's continually doing the thing. I think the whole important part of the journey of becoming a better INFP and developing RTE is applying these little changes in our life that eventually, when they accumulate, will be very beneficial in helping build our character as people. So we shouldn't be defined by who we are as INFPs, but rather motivate. It should be motivating us to become better as people. So let's not be stuck in our ways, but rather learn how to find ways to become better as our type. So I hope that you guys found that helpful. And if you want um, to learn more about your type, or if you want to book a session with me on areas like to become better, areas on self growth or in your relationships, your career, I offer typing sessions, which you'll just see in the details when in the next couple of seconds. And yeah, I will be talking about something more close to our hearts in the next episode, which is depression. Yeah, and self-loathing. So I hope that you guys enjoy that, and I'll see you guys next time. Follow me on my socials at MBTI Time on Instagram, Facebook, and Twitter. And if you're not sure if you're an INFP, INFJ, ENFP, INTJ, or any other type, book a typing session with me by visiting www.mbtitime.com. Links in the descriptions down below.